How did you get into real estate? Like, what made you want to do this?
So I got into real estate pretty much because I was done bartending. I had bartended for 15 years, and over the last few years, I noticed that I wasn't enjoying it as much as possible. I don't think it was the actual job. Like, if you sent me behind a bar right now and told me I had a line of 50 people, I would have a blast. But it was the day-to-day, it was dealing with the people I was working for, I guess, and I just kind of started thinking I need to take some control over my future and my job, and I wanted some power in my own life as opposed to working for somebody.
Hey guys, it's Kristen, and I am here today with Trevor O'Brien.
I'm Trevor from 603 Birch Realty, and I've been in the business now for 5 years. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, oh my God, of course. And so we had done a transaction together, I don't know, like 4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I love following your social media. I feel like you're kind of on the same wavelength as us as far as like keeping it real with people and not taking yourself too seriously.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I love about you and Kendall is that you guys are almost in on the joke of yourselves, right?
Yeah.
The videos you do of Kendall like being crazy, too energetic for you to handle, and like trying to rein him in. That's like you guys keep it like real, and you're fun and you're relaxed. I think that makes you like really trustworthy and people I look up to in the industry. So
thank you.
The feeling is mutual about the social media game for sure.
How did you get into real estate? Like, what made you want to do this?
I started talking to people. I'm not really sure what that path was going to be. There was a guy who used to come into the bar a lot who would read a book, and I eventually just started talking to him every day, like, what books are you reading? And I wasn't a big reader. I know you're a huge reader, and I can see why, because once you start reading, it's like, wow, it's like a light goes off. Like, I wish I listened to my dad when I was like 10 when he told me to read a book. But so this guy introduced me into reading, and the more and more I read, the more I was like, I can probably start doing something different. And then I actively started talking to people that I found admirable. I spoke to other regulars that I thought were, people that I looked up to. And ultimately, I ended up reaching out to Adam, who's the broker from 603. He was someone I always looked up to, a family friend. He had just started 603. He was our agent, so he was about 2 years into his business, and I kind of approached him like, do you think real estate's something that I would be good at? We would be interested in kind of bringing me along. And we met for about 4 or 5 different times. We got together, and eventually I decided to sign up for classes and took the jump into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just kind of trying to take some power into my own hands of what my life was going to be like. Yeah.
And how was that first transition? Did you stay a bartender for a couple of years or something?
I did, yes. So if you don't have clients, if you don't have closings, you don't have any money. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. That's the one thing I tell people when they ask me about it. It's like, what's it like? I'm like, it's great, but you got to be able to live with like no money or figure out a way to get money while you're training. So luckily I had the bartending job, and bartending has a good schedule for real estate, right? It's a lot at night, although happy hour was always busy with people getting out of work and trying to deal with that. But I bartended for about 1.5 years after I got my license. Luckily, I had enough business my first 1.5 years to find myself in a position to transition out of bartending a little earlier than I expected, which was really nice because now I get to fully enjoy the real estate side of life, which is just amazing. Once you can get to that point, it is an amazing lifestyle.
Yeah, it's as flexible as you make it, right? You can take on as many clients as you want.
Yep.
It's I think it's probably not as flexible as people think it is.
Yeah.
You see us going on vacations and stuff, but we're on vacation, but we're actually on our phone the entire
you're on your
time.
phone.
And I have my laptop at Epcot and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly seems like we're flexible, right? Whether we're on the golf course or vacation or just like randomly, putzing around the yard. Looks like I'm not really doing anything, but you're constantly like waiting for that call or, in correspondence with somebody. So yeah, it's not as flexible as you think, but it does allow you to have flexibility in like where you are. It allows for flexibility, but you are still accountable, right? The flexibility comes with that accountability and that availability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
And you have kids. How old are your kids?
I have 2. I have an 11-year-old son, Beckett, and a 7-year-old daughter, Delaney.
Okay.
Yes.
And how was the transition into real estate with like your wife and the kids and stuff? Was it stressful?
It was stressful because bartending allowed me to be home throughout the day. My wife would come home and I would go. So there was that like easy, Trevor's got the kids from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. and then Brittany's got them from 3 to 11 or 3 to whenever I got home. When I got out of bartending and into just real estate, it became a much more, and luckily they're school age now, but for a little while it was like, where do we stash Delaney for a little bit? What do we do with Beckett? And ultimately you don't bring them anywhere, you just bring them along with you. And luckily I worked with clients who were very happy to see my kids, and they almost become part of your business in a way. So it was tricky, but it also, like, they were very much involved in it, and I enjoyed taking them around with me. Of course, there's times they can't come, but luckily I have good friends and good people who are there to help. And,
yeah.
So
that's a big thing. I think if you're getting into real estate and you have little kids, it's definitely something that you need a support system around you, because a lot of what we do is very last minute. People might just say, hey, I want a showing today at 3:30.
Yeah.
And you have to pick up the kids at 3:20.
And you got to figure out how to be at, right. And then you got to figure out how to pick them up at 3:20, but then be somewhere that's 15 minutes away in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you hope that you got to hope that your clients are okay with you being 5 minutes late, because they understand that you are in a tough situation. So it's tricky. And I think if you do a good job with your clients when you meet them and they trust you and they understand you, they're going to be totally fine with, like, hey, guys, I can show you this property, but I'll be 5 minutes late because I'm coming from this.
Yeah.
And I think if you build that in and not just drop it on them, they're happy to wait the 5 minutes and they completely understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Communicate ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, squash any issues before they become issues.
And I think those little, like, hurdles help our clients relate to us too, right? Like, everyone's going through it. And I think that's a big thing you and Kendall show, is that you have some hiccups, some speed bumps, and you guys roll through it. And I think your clients trust you so much because you're not trying to, like, sugarcoat anything. You're not trying to, like, show that it's not stressful. They understand your lives and they appreciate being part of your lives. So when you have, you have to be 2 minutes late because of a showing, but they're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I understand what you're doing. I think in a weird way, your kids help you build that trust with your clients.
Yeah.
And I think people enjoy knowing you have a real life. You're not a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
It's going to be wild one day when our kids are, like, all grown up and moved out, and then we have all the time in the world for real estate.
What do we do? Yeah, now it's like, oh,
how
gosh.
big our business will be then.
Yeah, what do we do with all this time? Yeah, no, that's a great, I haven't even thought about that. Because I'm constantly filling my day, so, like, God, I don't know what I'll do when they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It's scary. My son's going into 7th grade. That's nuts.
It's gone by fast.
It's so fast. So fast.
So you coach too, right?
I do. Yeah, I coach the middle school basketball team or the B team at the middle school for Londonderry, and it's so much fun.
Have you always coached?
No. I started coaching when my son was in 3rd grade. He made a travel basketball team, and I took some time to coach him. We had some great parents who stepped up, but they didn't know a lot about basketball, so I found myself in a position where I was like, all right, I got to step up and do this. And
someone's going to help the kids.
Yeah. And I absolutely fell in love with it, right? The first time, like, I told a kid to try this and he tried that and it worked, I was like, oh man, this is different.
Yeah.
So I haven't always coached, but I absolutely fell in love with it about, I guess, right around the same time I got into real estate. And there's a lot of correlations between coaching and real estate. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing. You're helping people push further than they've ever pushed before, getting to goals they've never thought they could get to. So yeah, I love coaching.
And it's kind of a way that you can give back to the community too, and keep yourself involved in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, getting to be a positive influence on, 10 to 15 kids' lives, teaching them things, about basketball and, more importantly, about life and how to work as a team. It's so rewarding. Last year when I coached the middle school team, we had 15 kids on our team, which is a bit big. We had a manager, and the manager got to go in the game one time, and he was about to score. And there's a video of it, and the video of him scoring the layup is cool and whatever, but I watched that video, and watching kids on the team react to his moment of glory was just like, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because it was just so sweet, and these kids were just so in love with each other, and to have been part of building that community or in that family, I think that's something that they'll take forward to every team they're on, any situation they're in. So being able to be part of that and show them that it was so rewarding.
I love that.
It was a beautiful thing to be a part of, for
That's
sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kendall coaches too, obviously.
Yeah.
We put a turf football field in our backyard, which at the time just seemed so obnoxious and unnecessary and stuff. But now, of course, it's just been the best thing in the world. So we have, like, today there were 4 high school kids, I think from Nashua North, that trained with him on the field. We'll hold, like, if the cheerleaders want to have practice there, or
such a nice resource.
Yeah, we do a lot of things on the field, but it's like we get to watch people come into themselves and learn who they are and find, their strength, like, on our field. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. When you see those like, oh my gosh moments, right? The moment where it's like
a breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly. They are in pain and they're exhausted, but the only thing that comes out of them for emotion is that smile, because they have that, like, just did it moment. And being part of that is just, that's what it's all about. Whether it's selling houses, coaching, that's what it's all about.
I love that.
Yeah.
So one of the like big things why I was like, oh my God, I need to have Trevor on the podcast is because you have this huge project coming up in Wyndham.
Yes.
Speaking of breakthroughs, so do you feel like this is one of those like big pivotal moments in your career?
Yeah, I do. It's wild. So, I mean, you know this industry, like I would say December, I had a transaction where I messed up. I won't lie, I messed up and I missed a form, or I missed a part on the disclosure that mentioned that the furnace was dead. And my client said, hey, like they closed on the house, we were done, and he called me and said, hey man, the furnace is dead. So I looked back and I saw it, and it's all my fault. So like I had to take care of it. I had to help him. Luckily, I have a great HVAC resource who was able to help me out. But in that moment, you're sitting there, you're like, I can't believe I did that. You're feeling so like defeated, and you're like, am I going to be any good at this? I mean, I had some successful years, but everyone had some pretty successful years when, you know, interest rates were in the 3s and people were buying like crazy. So when it got tough and I was struggling, I was like, what do I do? And had this big kind of incident that kind of like made me really second guess. And I compounded it with some other stuff. Luckily, my client was super cool and understood. But yeah, so 6 months ago, I was kind of sitting there like, I don't know if this is going to be something I can like keep going on. But I met with some friends and some people that I looked up to, kind of like I did when I first got into the industry. And I just said, you know, how did you keep going? And they said, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, trust the process. You made a mistake, learn from it, fix it, keep putting yourself out there. And sure enough, we got some business back and got my confidence back. And then this phone call came in from a friend who I hadn't spoken to in 2010. 2010 was the last time I talked to him.
Wow.
Yeah. And he called me up. He's like, hey, I got a project that you might be interested in. Yeah, we have this development going in and we have an opportunity. The previous broker had kind of botched the sales meeting. So they were, you know, looking for somebody, and he had fortunately just got a promotion to be in a position where his recommendation. He's not the project developer, but he works closely with the guy we're working with. He's like, hey, Tyler, let's try to get this guy in for a meeting. And sure enough, we got in. So they're a company called Procopio. They're out of Massachusetts. They've been in business for 70 years. Family-owned company. The CEO is a guy named Mike Procopio, so it's still in family. They started building single-family homes, you know, in their early days, and then over the course of 50 years, they really did that. And over the last 4 or 5 years, they've gotten into some more projects, kind of building high-end rental buildings. So they've built really nice buildings in Haverhill and Lawrence, Beverly, and they did a nice one up in Portland, Maine. So they're experienced in construction, and this is their first trip up into New Hampshire. But they're an amazing company. They're a fastly growing company. They're the kind of people that are going to trust people that they feel like fit their mold. You know, my friend Joe, who got me the interview, he'd only been with the company for 2 or 3 years, but they were very much like, we like your drive, we like the way you work, we like what you're bringing to the table, and they moved him up the board. And I think, you know, they're going to be a really cool company to be involved in Wyndham. Like, I think people will fall in love with the way they work and understand that they're a family-owned company, and they're of high quality of both building standard and of moral standard. So I'm really excited to be paired up with them. They're a fantastic company. I kept my positive attitude. I kept grinding and kept doing the things that I know got me here in the first place. And I don't know if those things got me here, but I think staying positive and staying going.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time because I think our career maybe doesn't demand the same respect as a traditional career path that people have always thought to respect. If we do one small thing wrong, it's like, of course you would, you know? It's like, of course, realtors in general just are terrible. Whereas if that same mistake was made by like a CEO, it would be like, okay, you know, sometimes we make mistakes. It's very hard to just brush it off and keep going because, you know, it affected other people, yes, but it's like, it's not the end of the world. I always talk about, I have like a 3 to 5 day period where I'll just be like in depression about things.
100%.
You can't shake it off because you feel like I'm the worst realtor in the world.
How do I make a Instagram post about being a good realtor when I know I just cost myself, you know, $3,000?
Yeah.
It's like,
and they follow me.
And then it's like, I'm going to put this out there and I know they're going to be like, BS. Like they're going to be, So I completely get that. And you're like just in your own feelings. But you got to stay positive.
I know,
I mean, that's what gets you where you need to go. I mean, that's one of the things that's so like attractive about you and Kendall is that you guys are just like, I mean, obviously, you know, we're going to post our best stuff, but you guys are not posting necessarily like positive about you all the time, but your tone of voice and your message and your attitudes are just so fun and positive. But it's tough to get to that when you are feeling in your feels about, you know, messing up. So it's tricky. It's
a cyclical thing, right? You're always going to have a month where maybe you don't have any closings or you have one closing and then the next one you have 5.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, you got to remember just to stay positive. Like everyone goes
just
through
keep
it.
moving.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
We were just talking about this on the last episode that we have so many people that have moved up into our area that moved up during COVID and they still don't know their neighbors, because after a while it's just awkward to be like, hey, I'm the guy who's lived next door for a year and a half.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I met one of my now, I'd say, if he hears this, it's going to go to his head, now one of my better friends. He's been my neighbor for 5 years. It was exactly the situation. Life was busy. We didn't meet him. And then he ended up being on his same men's league basketball team. And I was like, you live 3 houses down from me. And now we hang out all the time.
Yeah.
So I think if, a community like this where you're a little bit more tight knit and you're using some of the same, facilities, the pool, the playground, dog park or whatever, you're going to just meet people naturally.
So what is the marketing plan going to look like?
The marketing plan is you're looking at it. Talk to you. Talk to the who's who of Wyndham and let you guys spread the word. No, the plan is really just to kind of show what we're going through, show the whole process. I think inventory is probably the most exciting part about this, that there's something to build, and really letting people in on it and expanding, like appealing to people who have those crazy busy lifestyles, who can't be home every weekend, who have to go, to one corner of New England for a soccer tournament and the other corner of New England for a basketball tournament. Like those type of people, aiming towards them, 55 plus who don't want to be in a 55 plus, who want to be around younger people.
Mm-hmm. We had a client that actually moved out of a 55 plus last fall and into a detached condo in Hudson because they just wanted to be around younger people.
Yeah.
They were like, we can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Being around
I don't blame them.
older people.
I don't blame them. And,
they wanted more life around, I guess.
Absolutely. And not every 55 is made the same. There are some fun and active ones, but most of the clients I have in that age group, one of the first things they say to me is, I don't want 55 plus. I think there is that feeling of like, just maybe more rules. If they want to have their grandkids around, they don't want to have to get like looks from the neighbor because their grandkids are running through the sprinklers.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think appealing to, a little bit older folks who are looking to downsize, right size. So the first floor is going to have the primary, so that's appealing to some people. And then those families who are just going to be too busy to, have their single family lifestyle, like don't have time or energy to mow the lawn and do the bug spray and all the stuff that goes into owning a house.
Yeah,
it's exhausting.
We pay people for all of that. We may as well pay an HOA.
Exactly. You think HOA, you're like, I don't want to pay that fee. But when you think about like how much you pay your landscapers to come mow the lawn, how much do you pay the Mosquito Joes of the world, how much do you pay for the pool cleaner, all that. Yeah. So it's probably totals over that that HOA cost. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be appealing to them. But yeah, the initial plan is just to start spreading the word, get in front of people like you, go show you the lot and just really drum up the excitement about it.
Yeah. So how can people find you and then also find out about the development?
So if you want to find out about me, you can go to our website, 603birchrealty.com. My bio page is there. And then if you're looking to figure out more about the Trails Edge project, we have a landing page, trailsedgewyndham.com. There's a click here link. It'll send you a link. I will get your information right away. And then if you click interested, then you're going to come right over to me and I'll connect with you.
Perfect.
We'll go from there. Yep.
So we'll put all of that in the show notes so everybody that's listening right now can just click on those links. But yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for coming in. This
was
great.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah. A lot of fun.